Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of ERT. My name is Derrick.
And I'm Kara.
So it's been a hot minute since we had our last episode. Probably going on 2 months now?
Almost.
Yeah, so the holidays hit. We went to Arizona, had a great time out there. You could say it was a very much of a non-roller coaster trip, something we haven't really done in a long time.
Wait, like ever?
Pretty much, yeah.
Ever.
We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Sedona. I really enjoyed it.
I would say we did a lot of
change of pace,
relaxing, a lot of hiking.
We did ride one roller coaster. We went to it's the Canyon Coaster Adventure Park, and it's called a Canyon Coaster.
It's a mountain coaster.
Yeah, it's I can't think of the name of the town, but it's
Williams.
Say what?
Isn't it Williams?
I think it's like Williams. Yeah, it's
Williams, Arizona.
What, 20
right?
minutes away from Flagstaff? You're still about an hour away from the Grand Canyon.
It's a pretty popular little town because you can get on the train there and go to the Grand Canyon.
But yeah, that was our trip. And then when we got back, the holidays, and then we got sick. That always kind of seems to always happen at we always seem to get sick sometime around the holiday. I don't know what it is.
Yes, and I'm still kind of sick a little bit. We're all still kind of getting over things.
Yeah, hopefully our voice don't sound too weird today. Right. So, yeah, the other big news, which a lot of it's already came and gone in a way, but yeah, so all these roller coasters getting closed down. I don't think I have ever seen a year like this where, as of right now, I think there's at least 7 roller coasters that have been announced that they will be closing or will be closing soon.
Okay. And they were all announced just within the last couple of weeks.
And if you ask me, I don't even think that they're done. I don't know if maybe for this season it might be done, but I wouldn't be surprised within the next few months you'll hear of even more roller coasters closing. But yeah, Six Flags has gone on this I don't know, Grim Reaper mode or something, and they're just shutting down roller coasters, closing down rides. It's very unprecedented for this level of amount of closures. I mean, first we had King Ka. We kind of heard the rumors, but a lot of us were like, oh, they're probably just going to do some kind of Top Thrill 2 kind of thing. And nope, they're going to tear it down. And it sounds like they actually even might demo it. So who knows? And Green Lantern, that's going away. Nighthawk is saying goodbye. Anaconda, which nobody's crying, is saying goodbye.
I hated that ride.
We lost Scorpion last year. We are going to lose Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket at Universal Studios.
Right, it's been announced. It isn't closing quite yet, but it's been announced.
It's on the docket. And obviously there's that the bobsled coaster, La Vibora. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's at Six Flags Over Texas. That's gone. So, yeah, and it wasn't just the fact that they announced that these were closing, as how they did it, too. They didn't give anybody a warning, hey, come get your final rides on this roller coaster. Some of them maybe kind of make sense, but some of them are what? King Ka, I think, the coaster community sort of overtook that, and they're hey, we know you're going to close this, so we're going to start telling people to come get their last ride. So, I think if you are paying attention, if you wanted to get your last rides, there was that opportunity.
For King Ka, but not for some of these other coasters.
But just for King Ka. Yeah, Nighthawk, definitely not. Anaconda, I don't even think King's Dominion knew that Anaconda was closing. That's how they handled that. That was really weird. And especially, as much as I didn't really care for that roller coaster, I always heard that it was pretty reliable. So kind of a little, I guess if you're building a brand new roller coaster now, it's the time to pull the rug from underneath everybody, I guess, so they don't feel as devastated because, we got this other coaster around the corner, but that's also making up for another coaster that they tore out. So now they're in a deficit.
In the past. It all just felt very corporate, a bunch of people sitting around a table in some office somewhere off in who knows where, wearing suits. We're meh, what can we chop? Let's go down the list. Well, see ya.
Yeah, which is very, again, obviously it's a bigger corporation. Now we have Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged. Those who are pretty much running Cedar Fair are more or less the ones running the new company. So I kind of thought it's still going to feel like Cedar Fair 2.0, and it hasn't really. It's really the best way to put it. Even their new roller coasters It doesn't seem like any of them, except for Rapterra. Rapterra has already been testing. They're expecting that roller coaster, I assume, to open with a park. The rest of the roller coasters, I don't think they will be ready to open by the time that the parks open. Like Canada's Wonderland, Alpen Fury, I don't know how far along it is in construction. I've seen very little construction photos. Have you seen any? Like, I haven't seen any vertical. I haven't seen track in place anywhere.
No. I haven't seen track. I did see somebody posted photos of supports being put up over like a midway or something. And I don't even remember where I saw that or who posted that.
Well, at least there's some work happening.
There was something happening, but no track yet.
Same with Siren's Curse, which... Again, I would say they're probably aiming for like a June opening.
But that was a late announcement anyway.
Well, yeah, that one is, again, we'll get to that in just a second because, yeah, that's on the kind of same topic. But, yeah, Cedar Fair has always been on the line of, like, we get our coasters open with a park. This year, not so much. So far, like I said, Cedar Point's a different scenario, but Alpen Fury, there is also that roller coaster. I can't even think of what it's called, the one going at Six Flags New England. It's their family launch coaster.
Is that...
It's
that
like
called...
like Quantum something.
Yeah.
Quantum Accelerator.
I think that's right. That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
You can see how super ecstatic. I mean, that park needs a ride, but nonetheless, have heard zero anything about that ride. Nothing. Zilch.
I mean, do you think it's just because it's the off season and these parks are closed, and so...
I don't know. Now, the dive coaster, which I've given up trying to figure out how to say the name for that roller.
The Wrath of Rakshasa.
Yeah, there you go. That's why she's here. So that dive coaster has already gone vertical. They're building the lift. So that ride could, in theory, open with a park. I mean, because usually B&M dive coasters go up pretty quick. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But that part is kind of weird. The fact that they announced all these roller coasters closing without telling anybody in advance was a little weird. And also, what I find even kind of worse is, I know a lot of people are not talking about this, at the same time, they kind of casually told everybody what they're going to be building at parks, like their new expansions or whatnot, over in the next couple of years. They weren't super vague, but they also were pretty much enough to give away like the main deal here. Like Six Flags Over Texas, they're getting a dive coaster. Like how big or what size, we don't really know, but it kind of like, as what Kara already said, like corporate, it really felt like they sucked the magic out of it. Because half of finding out a new roller coaster is the excitement. And kind of being like, oh yeah, well, this is what we're already doing. Like we already kind of have a general idea of a lot of these parks, what they're going to be getting. And I can't quite remember them off the top of my head, but it was very kind of weird. Like
there's nothing like
Six Flags Great Adventure was the only one that was a little more... even more vague, other than we know they're getting some sort of another launch coaster. That's all we really know.
I think back to like when we knew that something was happening at Kennywood, right? Back in like 2018, they took out Logjammer. They made a big announcement about Logjammers going away. We could walk around the park and you would see markings and you'd see little... like stakes pounded into the ground, and it just built this like anticipation of what is coming. And then the park did all sorts of little eggs that they dropped, like Easter eggs that they dropped, and then they did like scavenger hunt style things, all leading up to the announcement of Steel Curtain. And they really built that anticipation. It made everybody really, really excited.
Yeah, even down to the wire, a lot of us didn't even know what kind of roller coaster was going to go there. A lot of us were thinking some kind of multi-launch, and instead they went for the inversion record. And imagine if they would have told us 2 years in advance, Kennywood's going to be building an inversion record-breaking roller coaster.
Well, right.
It would have already kind of sucked. Oh, okay. So now we kind of have a general idea already of what they're getting.
Well, right. It wouldn't have made it as exciting to walk around the park and look for all the things and post them and be excited, and everybody's taking guesses.
Yeah. And I understand each state, each park is a little bit different when it comes to their announcements, because some places... how they have to file it with the county or whatever, it's pretty much out in the open. Like Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, King's Dominion, we always kind of know that's coming down the pipe. There's always was, I think it's like the BGW fan base or whatever. They always seem to dig that stuff up. However, like Cedar Point, which is where I was going to get back to with Siren's Curse, that roller coaster came out of nowhere. No one expected it. No one even in a million years did they think they were building another roller coaster. And again, I don't think Cedar Point knew in a million years they're going to build another roller coaster because of that whole scenario. But that's how announcements should be. They should take you by surprise. You should be excited, not telling, oh yeah, in 3 years, these are the kind of the ideas that were already coming down the pipe. Now, I understand Disney, Universal, and all that, they do that. But again, those projects and how they get handled and how they get built are a little bit different.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But they do the big announcement.
They're on a totally different plane than regular amusement
I guess
parks.
the difference is Six Flags kind of casually dropped what they're getting in this random small little article. Disney or Universal, they have like their big.
Oh, they have like a big giant
D23 or whatever it is for Disney.
Big thing.
Like, yeah, that's where you get the big wow surprise moment is when you go there. Like, what big thing are they going to drop there?
Yeah.
So yeah. What we were expecting when we get at these local parks, they kind of took that away. So it's different. We'll see how this all plays out. We'll see how this goes. Am I a little more nervous about the whole Six Flags Cedar Fair merger? Yes. Because I was pretty optimistic at first. Now I'm like, I mean, not that I say I think all these, the end of the world's happening. But I think if there's anything to take out of this, which I guess is bringing me back to the silver lining of maybe they are in good hands, they are making some cost-cutting moves. So yeah, they're very conscious of trying to trim the budget. They're getting rid of the rides that, some of these anyways at least, were either very problematic, maintenance nightmare, cost a ton to operate, maybe didn't have high ridership. Some of them that might be arguable. I don't know what the ridership was for Nighthawk. And even King Ka, as much as everybody was acting like they really liked it, I wasn't really hearing the enthusiasm of that roller coaster before it was ever announced that it got closed.
What are you talking about? The King Ka definitely had its fan base.
Yes,
the
it's
people
always
that were
had,
obsessed over that ride.
It always had its fan base, but I don't think it's ever had the fan base per se like Top Thrill Dragster. King Ka's always had its problems, more so than even Top Thrill Dragster. I would say the ride was rough. It was very forceful, sure, but to me, I would ride it maybe once or twice when I would go to the park, and that was dependent. If the ride just kept breaking nonstop, that's how it is some days. You'd go there, it'd be open for 20 minutes to go down. It's the same thing that happened to the Top Thrill Dragster. You felt like you're rolling the dice. Like, do I stand in line? Do I not stand in line? What do I do? So, but yeah, I get the moves, but at the same time, when you're only focused on cutting costs and not focused on expansion, and I know they did drop the whole idea of expansion, so it's kind of like they're playing both. That's just where, to me, you should always be focusing, especially as a business, towards the future. And if you're only looking at maintaining what you have, that's where your problems start. But
that makes sense. We could also toss in to the mix because we just found out about this yesterday, about Kennywood is also yanking the licensing, or the licensing is going away for Thomastown.
Yes.
It was like rumored in some of our like local Facebook groups yesterday morning. People were talking about it. There were rumblings, and then our news broke the story last night, so it's official.
Not surprised. I'm really not. I mean, I guess it's been 5 years, so they probably had a 5-year contract, and we kind of saw that similar before, because I think they used to have even more like Garfield stuff.
Yes, there was the whole Garfield. There was Garfield. Obviously you had Garfield's Nightmare, which was the old mill.
Separate. Yep.
But then there were Garfield things in Kittyland, so they obviously went together.
And all that stuff went away. Thomastown, I kind of thought like you would probably want to hold on to it a little bit longer, but nope, they're going to scrub it. They're just going to do their own thing. The ride, everybody was like, "Oh, are they tearing down the whole thing?" And they'd be like, "No, nothing's happening to the rides, as far as I'm aware. They're just scrubbing all the names. It's just generic ride." You can actually see some of those generic attractions at Six Flags America. Has some of those. It's kind of odd because you see the rides, but they don't have like any of the Thomas stuff on them.
Yeah, that was
so. Yes. Yeah, they do exist. That's more or less just what's going to happen there. As versus that little Thomas little train station center there. I don't know if they'll just leave that there. I mean, as long as I don't have any Thomas memorabilia on it.
I was going to say, you take all the names off and it just becomes... They said that they're going to retheme it, so they'll come up with some other name. And
Yeah, hopefully they retheme it to connect it to Kittyland, because it's very strange that you have these two separate kitty sections right next to each other. Like, they're basically one, but you have to walk around the one attraction to get into the other area. So maybe they'll connect it. I don't know how you'd have to build some kind of weird bridge, but... because of the nature of how it's set up.
If they just connect it as far as like aesthetic wise, it would just make more sense.
Yeah, just make it an extended, which would give, because if you ask me, Kittyland itself needs the overhaul more so than worrying about.
And they did. I feel like they did start to work on that last year when they took out the elephants and they started to like reconfigure some things in Kittyland. Obviously, Kittyland, like announcements at Kennywood over Kittyland is not the same as like, a roller coaster is getting removed, but it still kind of had a weird feel.
Yeah, it seems very on par with Kennywood.
Kennywood is our home park, so obviously that's what we're most
dialed into. It didn't shock
me,
and I didn't really honestly care. As long as the area just doesn't look dumpy, I guess. That's my only concern, which I don't think it will. I think it'll be fine. Hopefully, the attention will be that Steel Curtain is running great. Knock on wood. We'll see if that actually is cured, because they're already now. It's coming back the beginning of the year, so we'll see. Hopefully, if not, then we'll continue on with the world's largest park statue or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's 2025. Pretty excited for 2025. We're actually going to go international, and by international I mean Canada. So we're finally going up to Canada's Wonderland. We got our passports, or in the process of getting the passports. So really excited, because I was like, why haven't we gotten there sooner? For us, it's like a 4.5 hour drive. Like, we go to, it's like pretty much the same distance of us going to like Kings Island or something. So let's go to Canada's Wonderland. It's really not that far away.
We've never had our passports. So
we never
that's been the holdup. But we did all the stuff.
And we don't live in New York, because if you live in New York, you can actually get your driver's license that will let you cross into the state. So we would have to get that real ID. But nonetheless, we're like, let's get our passports. Now we can go.
We got them.
So, yeah, really looking forward to riding Alpenfury heading up there. As for everything else, who knows? I have no idea what we're going to do in 2025. As much as I would love to go down to Epic Universe, I still just don't think it's going to happen. You have to get a 3-day park pass to go visit the park for 1 day. Unless I think you have the universal pass holder, then I think it's a little bit different. But even still, I think there's a lot of blackout dates. So that park, you're going to need to spend multiple days in it. So I couldn't imagine them saying you can only spend 1 day there. I just don't see how that's going to work. Like, I feel 1 day, especially with kids, we're going to get into Super Mario World and hopefully maybe make it over to How to Train Your Dragon, and that's like it. Like, how could you, like... There's only so much time in the day. Let's just put it that way. And that park looks massive. There's so much to do. So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Who knows?
The park is going to be insanely busy too.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be maxed out.
Yeah, everybody is pumped for this. But again, this could be the same, what was it, the Disney effect? I can't remember the last park they had this problem where they just kept saying, oh, this park's going to be packed. It's going to be busy. It's busy. And like nobody showed up. Because of that, everybody was afraid. But I
don't think that's going to happen.
We're past that point. It's going to be slammed.
Happen.
Yeah. I think it's already pretty much booked up for people have already bought their tickets and whatnot.
Like, it's going to be crazy. And I mean, it's a huge park. And if you max that park out and you have to stand in long lines, I mean...
Yeah.
It just goes to prove your point that 1 day is not going to be enough to really get
it's like
the full experience.
Sample which little mini park inside the park do you want to sample this trip? Because I guarantee you the line for getting into, let's say, the Harry Potter section is going to be slammed, because that area very much has its fans.
Oh, sure.
Super Mario World very much going to have its fans. Obviously, every section, it looks super interesting, like the Monsters universe. Some of that stuff looks very interesting to me. I'm really excited to check that out.
The whole thing looks incredible.
So I just feel like, that park is just going to be slammed, period. But
so
what we're doing 2025, who knows? But back to the main topic where again, all these roller coaster closures. Are we nervous about Six Flags? Maybe a little. But at the same time, I think they are making some decisions. They're making the tough decisions. Let's put it that way. Because this is always to me an interesting topic, but how many roller coasters truly can a park handle? Like at some point, you can have too many roller coasters at a park to the point that it's just not feasible for you to keep operating all those attractions, dependent on your crowd base that you have going to that property. Cedar Point obviously can handle it because that place is very busy. But some other of these smaller parks that have continued to build and add other stuff, yeah, maybe some of the other rides need to go. They need to cut some of the waste. Now, Nighthawk, I understand that was a maintenance thing, but I'm like, how is that gone and Hurler still there or Vortex? I mean, come on, get rid of Hurler. That thing is garbage.
Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged, right?
Yeah.
And we all kind of took this as like, okay, this should be a good thing. And the first things out of the gate have been all of these closures and not announcements in the ways that we would like them to be made, right?
Yeah.
So that's been a negative against it, kind of put everybody on edge. Like, oh, do we really like this merger? Is this going to happen? I think, this is just my opinion, I think as we go into 2025 and parks start to open, and we see what happens, will determine the future of whether this is going to be a good merger or not, right? So if we go into 2025 and Top Thrill 2 reopens, Flash opens at Six Flags Great Adventure, all these new coasters that they're building, they go up and they actually open this year. I think if all of that happens, then we would get a better feeling. We're like, all right, we're on the right path. But if things go like the 2024 route, right? Top Thrill 2 doesn't reopen right away, or these coasters that we're seeing being built don't open, like Flash.
That ride is definitely going to open. I mean, it's already been testing.
But it should have opened last
year.
It should have opened in 2024.
But again, that was kind of a weird park addition and announcement too when they announced Flash. But that's a whole other side story. Like that ride, I felt like came out of nowhere, and I felt like it was kind of like a way for them to kind of like entice the deal for the whole merger thing, but totally different story.
So I'm curious to see what happens in 2025. What happens as like spring hits and parks start to open? If the coasters open and the new builds open and everything goes well, then okay, I think we'll all be happy, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if things go more of the 2024 route, then I feel like that spells kind of doom for this merger, right? I mean, I don't know, at least in the coaster world.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's going to spell doom for certain theme parks. I still think at the end of the day, there are some parks that aren't going to survive this overall merger. But we'll see. Never know. Okay. But, well, on that wonderful note, until next time, this is X Screen Thrills.